Hi, welcome to the Dartarian Show. I'm Alexander Dartarian, and with me today is Trey.
Hi.
And today we're going to do part 2 of the infamous female serial killer, Aileen Wuornos.
Yep.
Now, we're doing her, we decided to cover her this week and last week because of the impending overturn of Roe versus Wade, which it has been overturned, sadly, for women everywhere. So, did you want to say anything about this, Trey?
I do not. It'll get too
Political?
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually don't get political here, but we just wanted to reach out and say, we stand with women's choice everywhere.
Yes.
So, but let's get into Aileen Wuornos, who had the most infamous quote, "Dead men don't rape," which, again, has been getting a lot of attention, especially now that it has been overturned. So, last week we talked about the first murder, and we're just going to pick up right up from that. So if you guys have not listened to part 1, go back and listen to it. We talk about her childhood and all the way up to her first murder. On December 1st, 1989, after several days working along the roadways, Wuornos returned to Volusia County Motel, where she and Moore were living. Wuornos was intoxicated and told Moore that she had shot and killed a man early that morning, which...
Now we know.
Yeah. She said that she had sorted through the man's things, kept some, discarding others, and Wuornos also said that she abandoned the man's car near Ormond Beach and left his body in a wooded area.
In a wooded area.
Yeah. She didn't even just try to cover it up. She just shot him. So let's go into the second murder. When did that happen?
Well, I don't know when it happened. I know when his body was found.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Go.
June 1st, 1990.
1990. Okay.
Yeah, so. Firstly, it seems like 1990s were like right there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely wasn't. I mean, it feels like last year was like 1990.
Yeah. Her murder, I guess, murder spree wasn't. She didn't have that much of a cool down. It was like when she needed money, that's when she did it. Because of Tyra Moore, and she was just doing it. She was a maid. She was doing it all by herself. She was tired of it. She wanted Aileen gone, and Aileen showed up with some money, and then she was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess that works."
It's the way it always works. Money changes people. Even if it's like however much she got off that dude.
Okay, well, the second victim was David Spears.
Yes, it was. And he was naked.
Yep. So, again, he picked her up from the exit where she usually stayed to do her prostitution. And he was found nude and shot 6 times in the torso.
He was a construction worker.
Yeah.
So it's not like she went after the same type of dude.
No, it was pretty much anyone who picked her up.
Yeah, it was kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a reverse hitchhiker situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy because other serial killers do the opposite.
It's weird because this is going to start getting into the simple fact that her defense about the rape is going to be called into question with some of these. The next victim is Charles Carskaddon. A few days after Spears' body was discovered, the body of Charles Carskaddon, Carskaddon, 40, was discovered in Pasco County. The part-time rodeo worker had been shot 9 times in the chest and the stomach. So it's getting more violent as it goes on.
When it says a few days after, that means she murdered them like back to back, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the days, well, December, she killed Mallory in December, I think. Yeah, no, it was November. It was late November. And then she waited for a while and then killed David Spears.
In the next year.
Yeah, the next year. So, I mean, she did wait for a while, but as you're going to see, it's going to get like faster and faster, or like cool down thing. The next victim is Troy Burrows. Burris, sorry. Marion County law enforcement found the body of Troy Burris, a 50-year-old salesman, on August 4th, 1990, less than a week after he had been reported missing. Though the body was fairly decomposed, the medical examiner was able to determine that the cause of death was 2 gunshots to the torso. And that one right there is the one, Troy Burris. He was supposed to be a well-to-do man, never had any violence of whatever. What?
Well-to-do men.
Yeah, I know.
They attract a lot of more media attention.
Yep. That, and it was, that's one of the reasons why they were like, oh, well, she wasn't raped because of this man.
Oh, see, that's unfair.
That is unfair because most of the time the businessmen and stuff, the white-collared businessmen are the ones that rape the most.
It's the pretty ones, the ones you don't expect.
The quid pro quo rape is what they're called.
If the body was fairly
business.
You stop talking. If the body was fairly decomposed, does that mean it's been a while?
With decomposition, it's different because it all depends on where you're left. If you're left in water, you decompose a lot faster.
Okay.
If you're left in the swamp, you decompose a lot faster. If you're left in the desert, you decompose faster. It all depends on the elements of where you're put.
Okay, but what if she did kill him pretty close to the other ones? Because it seems to be like what is it when a
spree killing?
Yeah, but like a little bit different. Because I mean, it's not all in like
killing spree. I mean, just because I went on a killing spree. Technically, she is a serial killer because she did take breaks in between them. A spree killer is like literally usually all in one day, or like they over a couple of days they kill a whole bunch of people. So,
the DC snipers.
Yes.
They're spree killers, right?
No.
Why?
They are long distance serial killers. LSKs.
What makes them serial killers and not spree killers?
Okay, well, the spree killer is like trying to think of his name. I can't remember his name. Charles something. Oh my lord, it'll come back to me. I promise. But he killed 9 people over 2 days. So it was a killing spree. I think it was oh my god, I'm just drawing a blank here. Anyways, that's the difference. It has to be over 2 days.
It has to be longer than 2 days, or it has to be 2 days back to back?
It's basically when he Charles Starkweather is who it is.
Oh.
He was a spree killer. He killed 10 of his victims between January 21st to the 29th. So it has to be, there's no cooling down period. He was killing people all through that week. So, like, that's a spree killer.
Oh, okay.
So, with the DC snipers, there was actually sniping before that. It was different. Like, it was like weeks and weeks. It lasted for months. Remember that huge manhunt they had?
Yeah, but I don't remember it being months.
I'm pretty sure it was months.
I did find out that Troy
Mm-hmm.
was reported missing on July 31st.
Okay, so
it's a little bit of time.
That's a little bit, but not enough.
No, I mean, I don't understand why it was so decomposed. His body was found in a secluded area near some forest.
It could be. There's a lot of factors. I mean, if it rains a lot in Florida. So water decomposition is considered that. They are, never mind. The DC snipers are considered spree killers. I apologize.
Oh.
Yeah. They are spree killers. So, with Wuornos, she just took a little bit more time. I think it was like, if anything, it was a couple days. She's not a spree killer. She's a serial killer. I think that's my point. But go ahead with the next victim.
Victim number 5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is Charles Humphreys. He sometimes goes by Dick. He was a retired Air Force major and a police chief in Florida. He was a family man, well respected. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His body was found in Marion County on September 12th, 1990. Multiple gunshots to the torso and the head. And his car was found somewhere else. I can't pronounce that county.
Swanee.
Thank you.
So, like I said, multiple times, and it's still within that year, so it's not that long. She's going through victims pretty fast. Peter Sims Sims. I think it would be more Sims.
Mm-hmm.
65-year-old Peter Sims left Central Florida and headed for New Jersey in June 1990. His car found in Orange Springs on July 4th, 1990. Though Sims' body has never been found,
oh my goodness,
witnesses described 2 women near the car in Orange Springs. So that's 2 women.
Oh
so
God.
she didn't kill this man alone.
Nope. Miss Moore was with him.
Yeah.
Her. Sorry.
With her. So there goes her defense of, oh, well, I never did the killings. Because whether you pulled the trigger or not, you're there. You're an accessory. And obviously she's an accessory after the fact, especially since she's been told that she murdered.
Right. Poor Peter, his body being still missing. And of course, he was a good person, easygoing, and he was religious, super religious.
Mm-hmm. So
it really sucks that they can't find his body.
Yeah. And because most religions, they can't have a peaceful rest unless they're buried properly.
I couldn't have a peaceful rest without being buried properly.
I don't think if you're a murderer, I don't think you would have a peaceful rest anyways, because you died in such a tragic way.
Well, that's probably true. I mean, if you go by like how people do the in most movies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, he has unfinished business, that's why he's a ghost, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you go by that, then yes.
I don't believe in ghosts, but
I believe in ghosts, 100%.
The last victim is Walter Antonio. The partially disrobed body of Walter Antonio, 62, was found November 19th, 1990, in a remote part of Dixie County. He had been shot 4 times in the back and head. Antonio's car was found 5 days later in Bruford County.
He was a police officer on reserves. He's also partially naked. Partially.
Yeah.
And in a secluded area, which is like the same shit that she's been doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and the back, this one right here, definitely does not support her rape claim.
Why?
Because he was shot in the back.
Maybe
in the head.
He was
running away. And he's going to rape 2 women? Or the other guy's going to rape 2 women? They're 60 years old. I mean...
Why? How old is Aileen in this time period? I'm trying to think.
Is in her late 20s, maybe early 30s at this point.
So she's picking on men older than her because?
She's, she's in her 20s. She's, what is Aileen has been, what's the word? Run down. She's not as pretty as she was. That's what I'm saying. So no offense to her, but, or
does it have
to
to
any
do
women.
The older man part.
Older men pick up like prostitutes that are not the greatest looking, because obviously they're not going to get like a. It's not like Richard Gere and Pretty Woman. That shit don't happen.
Oh well.
I mean, it might, but it don't.
Don't forget that Julia Roberts is gorgeous.
Yeah,
and Aileen is tired and run down.
Drugs, drinking.
Drugs, yep.
Drinking.
Definitely drinking.
Yeah, drinking, standing out in the hot sun. A lot of people don't know this, but we age. The sun ages us. That's how we age, from sunlight and UV rays.
Well,
so
I
if you
just won't go
tan,
outside anymore.
if you tan a lot, you're going to look older when you grow up.
Or you get older.
When you get older, yeah.
Ouch. Or
so the police started putting two and two together. They pretty much were like, okay, this is a pattern, obviously. And the last victim that they killed.
You think that Miss Moore went on the last one too?
Oh yeah, I think she went on everyone except for the first one.
I don't know.
Maybe not the first one. I think the last two she was definitely with.
Yeah, I think so. The most credible evidence used against her was a fingerprint.
Yeah. Fingerprints have been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, as long as there's been people.
Well, they haven't been used in crime. We didn't start using fingerprints as an identifier until like 1910.
Yeah, I meant that all humans have fingerprints.
Yeah. So there was no DNA at this time yet. The first trial DNA was ever used in was an O.J. Simpson trial.
And it didn't do them very much good.
Nope, it did not.
When she was robbing the victims of their valuables and stuff, and she pawned them off, right?
Yeah.
She needed to provide a fingerprint on the receipt.
Mm-hmm. And that's how they put two and two together.
Another fingerprint was found on the car of the sixth victim, the one that was never,
Yeah, never found.
He was never found.
Didn't they wreck a car? Miss Moore and
they probably could have.
I think they got drunk and they wrecked a car.
The evidence that linked all of the murders together, of course, that the other 6 bodies, with multiple gunshot wounds, was a .22 caliber gun, which means the police were like, oh, this is a single killer using one gun, like this gun for every murder. The gun was seized from her upon arrest and was later discovered to be the weapon used for all murders except for, the one they couldn't find, but he's probably been shot too.
Yeah.
When she was arrested at the Last Resort Bar, a biker bar.
Yeah, by 2 undercover cops.
January 9th, 1991. Do you think that she would have killed some more?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think she would have. And during her trial, we're going to get to her trial here in a second, but I don't know if she was her statements about this have been, the way that they caught her is probably the dirtiest way to catch someone, I guess, and also really hard for Aileen.
It's shit. Sorry. When first pursuing her arrest, the police tracked her down to an area of Port Orange in Florida. A task force took over to more determine if she was still in contact with Miss Moore, who is at this time maybe considered an ex-girlfriend, because they weren't together because their relationship was awful. But
I think they definitely they weren't the best for them, for each other anyways, at all. And okay. So I was right about the car accident.
Okay.
Wuornos and Moore abandoned Peter Sim's car after they were involved in an accident. So they stole his car and they wrecked, and that was when they were running away.
And on top of that, they never said where he put his body.
Yeah. So we have no idea where he is.
And we still don't, and we won't.
Nope.
That's depressing.
But the way that they did it.
Well, they went to the possible ex-girlfriend, right, Miss Moore, who, of course, we know was involved in some of the crimes and probably the pawning. I think she was involved in the pawning of the other people, the other people's valuables.
I believe, I speculate that she was involved a lot more than what she said she was. I think that she was involved in the selling of the properties, and I think she knew exactly what Aileen was doing, and I think that she knew. I think she knew everything. I think that Aileen wouldn't have lied to her. Like, she was completely honest with her, and especially when she got drunk, which was all the freaking time, because they fought all the time, because Aileen was a mean drunk.
Mm-hmm. I imagine so. The day after arresting Aileen, they tracked down Tyra, Miss Moore, in Pennsylvania. So she was out. She's states away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
She went home to her parents.
Yeah, they broke up.
Yeah, they broke up, and she didn't feel safe with Aileen anymore.
Yes, because she's seen what she could do.
She knew that about the murders. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Aileen was getting more unhinged every murder.
Yeah. I mean, I would too. I mean, it's killing a person.
Yeah.
And she's not exactly like...
She's not... I don't believe she's a psychopath, or was a psychopath. I really don't. I think literally when that guy... And again, it's a speculation. When the first Richard Mallory tried to rape her, because I do believe that did happen, tried to rape her, I think that brought a lot of old memories up. And that's the reason why the victims were so old. I think she was killing her grandpa.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again. Because she's like, well, all men are the same. They're just going to treat me like shit. And they're going to rape me.
Yep.
And I really believe that she was just killing her grandpa over and over and over again. And I'm not saying they look like her grandpa. I'm just saying...
In her mind.
In the age, older men and stuff. And I think that she would have ended up... I think if she never would have gotten into prostitution, I think if she would have stayed with the guy she married, I think she would have ended up killing him. Because... Like the grandpa. Like, I don't know. I just think... I don't think she's a psychopath. I think that she's suffered a very traumatic childhood by men, and didn't get any love from women except for Tyra, the only person that ever loved her, and the only person that reciprocated what she felt for him or her. You know what I mean? Like, they loved each other. She loved Tyra.
Of course, when Miss Moore was arrested, she started releasing her secrets.
Yes.
Eileen's secrets. She started telling him everything.
She made a deal.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah. She agreed to elicit a confession from Wuornos in exchange for immunity from the prosecution.
That's unfair.
And when they offered this, they didn't know that she could have been involved in any of it. She just thinks that she just wanted Aileen to confess. They didn't know anything. Because right now, there was no evidence pointing to Miss Moore's involvement, just that she was around with her. Because Aileen wanted to call her and talk to her. Moore returned with the police to Florida, where she was put up in a motel. Under police guidance, she made numerous telephone calls to Wuornos, pleading for help in clearing her name.
Whose name?
She told Aileen, and these are recorded. You guys can listen to them. These are recorded calls between Tyra Moore and Aileen Wuornos, and she basically was like, the police are coming after me. I'm in trouble for this. I need. She's like, I basically trading on Eileen's love for her.
I think that makes it a little bit more suspicious.
I think that's entrapment. Well, if it was a cop, it would have been entrapment.
It's not just that, but why is she's like, I'm in trouble for this. It sounds more like you need to take the fall.
Yeah, kind of thing. Like,
well,
I'm in trouble, or you need to take the fall for this. And so 3 days later on, January 16th, 1991, Wuornos confessed to the murders.
Yep.
She claimed the men had tried to rape her, and she killed them in self-defense. In November 1991, Wuornos was illegally adopted by 44-year-old Aileen, who saw her photo in the newspaper. I did not know that you could adopt a grown person. I thought you can only adopt children.
No, you can adopt grown people. I've seen it. There's a TLC show about it. Adopting grown people.
What? Okay. I guess anything's possible, really, but I like how she killed 7 people. I'm sitting here like, oh, but I didn't know you could adopt them.
Yeah,
that's one thing. And with this, and when we're talking about with Aileen and stuff, and how we're like, oh, well, we can understand this stuff. We're not advocating murder at all. There's no excuse for murder whatsoever.
No excuse.
We're just stating that, like, sympathy. We're empathetic.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we can show empathy because we're not psychopaths and everything. So we're definitely not advocating murder at all, and we're not understanding like, oh, she killed him. Like, that's understandable. Like, oh, I know I've said it in the last episode apparently, but we're definitely not advocating for that at all. So if you have a problem with someone, just sue them like a real American.
Yeah. Or
wherever you are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're suing people. People can be sued anywhere.
Did you know that when she was arrested under an alias, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they charged her for the crimes, they charged her for the crimes that she did under the alias too, which is like Lori Groder or Grody.
Grody. Mm-hmm.
And so not only was she charged with whatever murders, right? Mm-hmm. She was also charged with whatever she'd done as Lori. So,
so on the 14th of 1992, Wuornos went to trial for the murder of Richard Charles Mallory.
Ow.
Although,
only the one?
Yeah. Although previously convictions are normally inadmissible in criminal trials under Florida's Williams rule, the prosecution was allowed to introduce evidence related to her other crimes to show a pattern of illegal activity. On January 27th, 1992, Wuornos was convicted of Mallory's murder with help from Moore's testimony.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let's go back towards that. The prosecution's case was, it mainly relied on the inconsistency of Eileen's statements through the confession tapes.
Yes.
I understand that, she can't be trusted. Really. When you're a liar and you lie as much as you do.
Who, Aileen?
Aileen.
Yes.
I understand why they would use that. Mm-hmm. But it's the primary piece of evidence.
And also,
is her inconsistency.
I don't know if you're about to say this.
Possibly.
But Aileen did not blame Tyra at all.
Of course not. She's in love with her.
Yeah, she's in love with her. She did not blame her.
When
she was on the stand talking and she was looking at Aileen. Aileen kept mouthing like, I love you and everything.
She would rather Tyra not face jail time. So it's whatever. What is it? It's noble, I guess.
I guess that's why I don't think she's a psychopath.
Yeah, can't they not love or some shit? I'm pretty sure they can.
They feel feelings. They
emulate?
They pretend, and a lot of I think that's a myth that they can't feel feelings. They feel feelings. They just don't know how to, like regret or remorse. I don't think they feel remorse, but they do feel regret.
Sometimes.
Like when they tested people for, like when they took 10 psychopaths and tested and made them do a experiment with money. with stock market.
Firstly,
and the only regret
do you just put an ad in for 10 psychopaths? Where do you find 10 psychopaths?
Most CEOs are psychopaths.
You can't just say that you're a psychopath
because there's a test. There's a test. They probably tested a whole bunch of people.
Who would want to go in for a test if you're a psychopath?
They pay money. Anyways,
money for psychopaths?
They pay money for experiments. But, they said the only regret they had was not making more money, but they only regret it for okay. They regret stuff, but they don't let the regret change their future decisions. That's what I'm trying to say.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Their brains work differently, especially since, they answered an ad for psychopaths.
It's a line enough for people to get arrested.
The claim of self-defense, right? Mm-hmm. All of the killings are self-defense, right?
Yeah.
It was dismissed because her story kept changing. When she was talking about her partner, Miss Moore, she revealed she gave Tyra false information and different versions of the stories each time she told them, right? For example, on one occasion, she confessed to Moore, like you said, about killing Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she found the body under a rug in the woods.
So she said that she didn't kill him?
Yeah.
Okay. At her sentencing, psychiatrists for the defense testified that Wuornos was mentally unstable and diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. So she's not a psychopath. 4 days later, she was sentenced to death. Wuornos' defense made efforts during the trial to introduce evidence that Mallory was previously convicted for attempted rape in Maryland. So he didn't rape anybody, he just attempted rape, which was still pretty bad, and served a sentence in a maximum security correctional facility, providing remediation to sex offenders. Records obtained from the correctional institution showed that from 1958 to 1962, Mallory was committed for treatment and observation resulting from a criminal charge of assault with intent to rape, and received an overall 8 years for the treatment at the facility. In 1961, it was observed, quote, "It was observed of Mr. Mallory that he possessed strong psychopathic trends," end quote. However, the judge refused to allow the records to be admitted in court as evidence and denied Wuornos' request for retrial. I think that would be very important to add into there.
I think that's unfair. Yeah, but...
well, the judge said that the victim's not on trial. Miss Wuornos is.
No, but...
There's also... To me, I think that would have played a more pivotal role if that was the only person she killed.
That's true. That's true.
So if this was the only person she killed, I think it would have came in. But since she killed multiple people, I think the judge was just like, okay, well, they all can't be rapers,
right? Well,
like, what are the odds? You know?
I mean, they could.
They could have, yes. Without a doubt, they could have. But he's like, okay, what are the odds?
The defense's, case revolved around saying that the confession tape was used
as entrapment.
No, it's like they used Miss Moore and Eileen's relationship to force a confession.
Coerce.
Yeah.
So they think they coerced the confession.
Yes, that has no value because it was
well, confessions, phone recordings of confessions are inadmissible in court because they did not read her rights, I think.
Well, that's what the prosecution, that's their main piece of evidence is that.
I don't know how the law was down there. I don't know if they had to let her know that they were recording, but if she was in jail, every phone call from in and out of jail is recorded. Like, that's a lot of people get passed up for what's it called? Parole because they say something stupid on the phone.
Who listens to all of these phone conversations?
Anyone.
Yeah, but I meant like who sits down and listens to
warden,
it?
I mean, the warden can. Lawyers, if they have a parole coming up, they'll pull all their phone records.
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah. No, like they're not like sitting there like on the other end listening and stuff. Like no, it's just recorded, and then if they need to go back, it's referenced.
The defense claimed that the police task force, using more put Aileen in a very vulnerable position because she would do anything to make sure that she doesn't go to jail.
And also, when the trial came out for a lot of this stuff, and when they got Wuornos' side of the story and what happened, they didn't realize when they made this deal with Tyra that she was involved with her at all, like during the murders,
right?
And her being in that Peter Sims or Seams car, or Mr. Seams' car, that puts her at least in the vicinity of his murder. So, I mean, right there, an accessory.
Unless she went and picked her up after.
Yeah, but accessory. I'm sorry, accessory to murder.
I agree 100% accessory.
So if I murdered someone and then picked you up in the car and the police pulled us over in the car, you would still get in trouble for an accessory to murder.
Yeah, but probably until I told them I didn't know.
Yeah, but it's accessory after the fact.
They claim that using Tyra against her impaired her mental state and her level of functioning and the rational. You know what I'm saying?
She was betrayed again.
She was, but she would rather go to jail than let Tyra go to jail.
Yeah.
So she chose
not to say anything. She already had immunity, so there was no way that they could get Tyra at all. Even if Tyra was like, as soon as she did that deal and it was done, and like after the trial and stuff, she could have been like, yeah, I killed 2 of them. And there was nothing they could do about it. Nothing. Because they gave her immunity.
That's so shitty.
Yeah. Nothing.
Eileen's state-appointed lawyer told her to say as little as possible, right? Aileen said no. And she gave statements on events and stuff like that. So,
I watch a lawyer on YouTube. I want to plug him in here because I really like him. Named Bruce Rivers. And he has a channel called CLR Bruce Rivers. Criminal Lawyer Reacts. And he has merchandise that says, stop self-snitching. It's because don't talk to the cops. Never talk to especially if you are innocent. Do not talk to the police because you have a right to remain silent and you have a right to a lawyer. Always ask for a lawyer before answering any questions. Don't even talk to the police. You don't have to talk to the police. I mean, if you get pulled over and they're like, hey, you get a ticket, obviously talk to them. Yeah. But if you're under arrest for any reason whatsoever, even if you're innocent, lawyer. Especially if you're innocent, lawyer.
Yeah, but you see in the crime shows.
Yep. No. All right, this is what they're saying. If they read you your rights, they're saying, hey, your right to remain silent, blah, 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 blah. As soon as you say, I want a lawyer, they have to stop talking to you.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, when when you're watching a crime show drama, when they lawyer up, you're like, oh, he's the bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But it's not. Okay. So this is how trial works. It's up to the prosecution to prove without reasonable doubt that you killed this person. It's not the defense's job. It's not your job as a defendant to prove your innocence. It's the state's job to prove your guilt without reasonable doubt.
That means you have to prove
So
your
if
innocence.
if there's any reasonable doubt, the whole point is it's reasonable doubt. And if
Everything
she
is
would have had
reasonable doubt.
if she would have had a good lawyer,
Yeah, she had a shit lawyer.
yeah, she had a shit lawyer.
I don't know if. Do you think that lawyer would still be alive?
This is speculation. She goes, just in case. I believe that the lawyer was like, okay, she's guilty. I don't care.
Well, that's not fair.
It's not fair.
I mean,
whether
she probably guilty.
she's guilty. But that's not the defense lawyer's job. The defense lawyer's job is to provide her with a defense.
She didn't, or he, they.
It happens.
They
happens
didn't.
all the time.
They.
That's why if you're in the Minnesota area, please call Bruce Rivers, defense lawyer. He's a criminal lawyer.
The defense was horrible at recruiting witnesses for Aileen, right, to speak on her behalf, and they ruined that by failing to meet the witnesses that they called at scheduled meetings, and then never calling back to reschedule. So the accused was her own witness, and that just ain't gonna fly.
Yep. No. They could have subpoenaed. Where basically it's
The point is they didn't care enough to try.
nope, they didn't. And like I said, but her next trial.
What? I wanted her first trial still, sir.
Oh, okay.
Chill.
My bad.
You know, her main defense
Yeah.
was that, oh my goodness, Mallory raped her,
Yeah.
right? She gave a very detailed account of him raping her.
Yeah.
And, of course, she wasn't supposed to testify at her own trial. And her attorney was like, dude, don't testify. And again, she ignored the advice and chose to testify.
Yep. And usually when you testify as a defendant, it's pretty much you've lost the case. Because you have to be competent enough to answer questions during a cross-examination. And really good prosecutors can tear your story apart in a second.
Yeah, but it's not fair. I mean, it is fair. It's their job. But, like, if you have someone who puts 110 effort against you and you've got the person that's supposed to help you who puts in 10%, I mean, that's just shit luck. Once again, someone betrayed her and let her down. But, of course, you know, she is a murderer. So, the verdict, right, for the first trial that we're still on.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. After just 2 hours,
Yeah.
they came out and was like, you are guilty of first degree murder. First degree murder. She was found guilty of 5 other first degree murders, even though she admitted to 6. No, she admitted to 6 others. So she's trying to say that she killed, like, how many people?
7. She killed 7.
Yeah, she killed 7, but they said that she was found guilty of 5, but she admitted to killing 6 more than that. That's like 11?
Yeah. But
She's trying to say that she killed 11 people?
they always do that.
Yeah, I
They
know.
lie,
I know they
but
do, but I didn't know that she tried to...
She tried
you know.
to, yeah, but there's no evidence whatsoever that she killed more.
You know, the fact that his body was not found, Peter's, they can't get her for that one.
No body, no crime.
Yeah.
That's why they say it.
I read...
Hubris corpus. Show me the body.
heard something about that. Recently, I think, where like a dude way back, a dude went missing, and like 3 people were killed or hanged for his murder.
Yeah.
And then he came back on a boat
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they started the
habeas corpus.
The no body.
Yep. That's the reason why Casey Anthony could not be
I don't want to talk about Casey Anthony.
Charged
That's a
for
rough
murder
one.
Because they didn't find her body, and then when they found the body, then they could charge for murder.
That's still,
I know. It's a hard case.
The jurors.
Mm-hmm.
One for the first one, sorry. For the first one, the jury recommended death, which is Mallory.
Yeah.
For the second, which is Humphreys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jury recommended death. For Charles Karskaden,
Mm-hmm.
penalty trial waived, sentence to death by judge. David Spears.
Well, you're going into the second trial.
Am I?
Yeah. The first trial alone, the trial that she had was for Richard Mallory. That was tried.
Yes, that's the
second trial was basically her just saying no contest, which means guilty.
No contest doesn't mean guilty, does it?
It means no contest means you're not fighting the charges. And that was, so the first trial was January 14th, and the second one was March 31st, 1992. So she pleaded no contest to the murders of Charles Richard Humphreys, Troy Eugene Burris, and David Andrew Spears. Also, she said she wanted to get right with God. In her statement to the court, she also said in part, I wanted to confess to you about that Richard Mallory did violently rape me, as I've told you, but these others did not. They only began to start to. On May 15th, 1992, so another trial.
Hey, that's pretty close to when I was born.
Yeah. Wuornos was given 3 more death sentences.
Just adding on the death. Wait. You can only die once.
I've never understood the multiple. I guess because she has to appeal each one. That's what she
really?
has to,
All of them?
Yeah, she has to appeal each one.
Individually?
I think she can. I know that you only get a certain amount of appeals, but if they try each one separately, then you get like 4 appeals for each one, I think. But she probably got she probably got 4 for Mallory, 4 for Humphreys, Burris, and Spears, and then in June 1992, Wuornos pleaded guilty to a murder of Charles Edmund Karskaden. In November 1992, she received her 5th death sentence.
So many death sentences.
Yep. In February 1993, Wuornos pleaded guilty to the murder of Walter Juno Antonio and was sentenced to death again. So that's 6 death sentences.
Well, that sounds about right.
Yep. And
no.
So she
7.
could. So she has 1, 2, 3, 4. So she would have 16 appeals, I think.
16 appeals.
Yeah, 16 appeals. 16 tries to get appealed. Obviously, no charges were ever brought up to her against Peter Abraham Seams, as her body was never found.
Yep.
In all, she received 6 death sentences.
Can you imagine Peterson's family?
Seams?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no closure. She did admit to killing him. They wrecked the car. Obviously, Tyra and Aileen were seen at the car. That's where they found one of the fingerprints.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to say. I mean,
if they ever find the body, I don't know. Like I said, Florida's mostly swamp.
I wonder if they're advocating, trying to find his body.
I would think so. I would definitely think so. Definitely.
Because I mean, obviously not now, but still, the general area where they thought he could be, if it's a secluded wood area like she normally does, then
well, the bad thing about, like I said, about Florida, there's a lot of swampland,
right? And
swampland decomposes bodies very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, but they can still find bones.
Yep, they sink. Bones sink in swamps.
So yeah, maybe someone will find it by accident.
The only time I would ever think it would be found, especially if it's in the swamp, is if they are searching for something else and they come across it accidentally. Like a person goes missing in the swamp and they're dragging it for a body. That's the only time I would ever think it would be found if she dumped it in the swamp.
I was going to say if she dumped it in a swamp, but what about like the woods like she's been doing?
There's
animals and stuff.
Are really hard to find, especially if the person doesn't know exactly where they buried them.
Yeah, but they can look in an area close to it.
Yeah, they can.
He wasn't ever, or like, what if he wasn't buried?
But it doesn't matter. Remains are hard to find. Like, you see all these people that go missing in the woods and stuff, and their bodies are never found. It's because we have a lot of wilderness in this country.
It's because of the staircases.
Stop talking about the episodes. The freaking search and rescue. Ugh, gross. Anyways, there's so much open space. A lot of people think there's a lot of the people live here, like 350 million people here that are living in the United States. We wouldn't have open spaces where you can hide bodies, but there's a lot of land. And I mean, when you're not looking for a body every day, you're not going to find a body. I mean, look at that episode we did on Lizzie Borden. Andrew Borden walked right past his wife, who had been murdered, to change into a different jacket or something, and came right back down, passed her twice, didn't see her. When you're not looking for your body, you're not going to find a body.
How do you miss a body?
You're not looking for it.
That's dumb.
You're not looking for it. You don't look down. You're distracted on something else.
Well, I guess he was old, so I guess that counts too. His vision is probably quite poor.
He didn't have his glasses on. I was completely wrong about Aileen Wuornos. She scored a 32 out of a 40 on a psychopath test.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so she was super psychopath. And wrestler who studies psychopaths and the serial killers.
Did you say a wrestler?
No, wrestler. FBI profiler Robert K. Wrestler.
Oh, I thought you were like
briefly
a wrestler.
Mentions Wuornos in his autobiographical history of his 20 years with the FBI. Writing in 1992, he said he often does not discuss female serial killers because they tend to kill in sprees instead of like subsequently, like one after, like one and then here and there, like with a cool down period, basically. Wrestler, who allegedly coined the phrase serial killer to describe murderers seeking personal gratification, does not apply it to women killing in postpartum psychosis, or to any murder acting solely for financial gain, such as women who have killed in a series of boarders or spouses. But he said Wuornos is the sole exception. He is the only, or she
As
is
of
the only
1992,
one.
yeah.
Of 1992. He only coined, or he only considers Wuornos a serial killer. Because
that sounds kind of sexist, though.
Most women
can be serial killers too.
They can.
I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying.
But usually, when they kill, it's either in self-defense because they're getting abused, or it's for financial reasons. There's no sexual gratification for women killing.
There's other reasons to be a serial killer. I mean, you don't have to.
Yeah, I know.
Kill for that.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying that there's female serial killers.
Serial killing is a very diverse profession, I guess.
Yes.
Wuornos was incarcerated at the Florida Department of Corrections Broward Correctional Institution, death row for women.
Death row for the ladies.
Then transferred to Florida State Prison for execution.
I wonder how many ladies were on death row.
I don't know.
How many women are on death row, like, regularly?
I mean, if they murder someone, they get death row.
If they're convicted. You can't just say murder people.
Yeah. If you murder someone, you get to death. Her appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court was denied in 1996, and in 2001 petition to the Florida Supreme Court, she stated that her intention to dismiss her legal counsel and terminate all pending appeals. So she did not want to appeal it anymore. I killed those men, she wrote. I robbed them as cold as ice, and I'd do it again, too.
Yep.
There's no
Yep.
chance in keeping me alive or anything because I'd kill again.
Yep.
I have hate crawling through my system, and I am so sick of hearing this she's crazy stuff. I've been evaluated so many times. I'm competent, sane, and I'm trying to tell the truth. I'm one who seriously hates human life and would kill again. End quote. While her attorneys argued that she was not mentally competent to make such a request, Wuornos insisted that she knew what she was doing, and the court appointed a panel of psychiatrists agreed.
Yep. I agree too.
You know, in 2002, Wuornos began accusing prisoner matrons of tainting her food with dirt, saliva, and urine. She said she overheard conversations among prisoner personnel trying to get me so pushed over the brink by them I wind up committing suicide before the execution. End quote. And hashtag end quote, wishing to rape me before execution. End quote. She also complained of strip searches, tight handcuffing, door kicking, frequent window checks, low water pressure, mildew on her mattress, and catcalling. In distaste and pure hatred towards me. End quote. Wuornos threatened to boycott showers and food trays when certain officers were on duty. In the meantime, my stomach's growling away, and I'm taking showers to the sink of my cell. End quote. Her attorney stated that Miss Wuornos really just wanted to have proper treatment, humane treatment, until the day she's executed, he added. She believed what she's written. So he's not saying that he believes her. He's saying that she believes what she's written. Now, my thing is I think that in a women's prison, the guards should be female too. I don't think men guards should be in a female prison because I'm sure rape does happen quite often. And who's going to believe a prisoner who's on death row?
What about the other way around? Like in male prisons, there shouldn't be any female guards?
Yes. I don't think so. Why not? Why? Why should a female guard be in a men's prison?
I don't know. I was just asking.
Yeah. It's just unsafe.
Unsafe.
I mean, I'm not saying a female cannot whoop the shit out of all those dudes. I'm just saying, like, it only takes one hit, and there's a lot more of them than that one guard. So, in the weeks before her execution, Wuornos gave a series of interviews to Broomfield and talked about being taken away to meet God and Jesus and the angels and whatever is beyond the beyond. In her final interview, she once again charged that her mind was tortured at BCI and her head crushed by sonic pressure. Food poisonings and other abuses worsened, she said, each time she complained, with the goal of making her appear insane or to drive her insane. She also turned on her interviewer. You sabotaged my ass, society and the cops and the system. A raped woman got executed and was used for books and movies and shit. Her final on-camera words were, thanks a lot, society, for railroading my ass. Don Bawkins, a childhood friend of Wuornos, later told Broomfield that her verbal abuse was directed at society and the media in general, not him specifically. Wuornos' execution took place on October 9th, 2002. She declined her last meal, which could have been anything under $20, and opted for a cup of coffee instead.
Just want that Java.
Yep. Her last words were, yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus.
With Jesus. I don't think she'll come back, though. I'm just saying. Wait. So you think she's like... So when Jesus comes back, she's going to come back with him?
I guess. And sailing with the Rock.
As far as I know, I thought only Jesus was coming back.
Well, I mean, there's many interpretations of the Bible.
Can he bring partners? Little friends? I mean...
I like how she promoted a movie on. She said on like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back.
What? Aliens? That's what mothership is, right?
Yeah. So, I guess she wants to come back with
she
mothership.
Thinks Jesus was an alien?
I don't know. She died at 9:47 a.m.
9:47.
Yep.
Such
She
an
was the
awful time.
second woman in Florida and the 10th in the United States to be executed since 1976 States Supreme Court decision restoring capital punishment. So, since 1976 to 2002, there had only been 10 women executed.
I guess there's not very many ladies
No.
on death row.
After her death, Wuornos' body was cremated. Wuornos' ashes were scattered beneath a tree in her native Michigan by Wuornos'
Native Michigan.
childhood friend, Don Botkins. At Wuornos' request, Natalie Merchant's song "Carnival" from her album Tiger Lily was played at her funeral. Wuornos spent many hours listening to this album on death row. When Merchant found out about this, she gave permission to use the song in the closing credits of Nick Broomfield's documentary, Aileen, Life and Death of a Serial Killer.
Should have put female in there. Made it more impactful.
Yeah. So, if you guys are interested, there's a lot of documentaries out there. Monster, which is a fantastic movie with Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci, directed by Patty Jenkins. Just a really good movie. I liked it a lot. So, yeah. So that was Aileen Wuornos.
It sure was.
Yep.
The victims, God rest their souls, I guess. RIP.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
I really think that Mallory tried raping her, but that was the only one. I think that after that, she felt like she had power, and she liked that power, and it just the more people she killed, the crazier she got, or just the more powerful she felt, or she was probably chasing the feeling of power, and just killing her grandpa over and over again.
Yeah,
So,
but I'm just saying that our hearts go
yeah,
out to
yeah,
the
absolutely.
victims' families.
The victims' families. Like I said, this has pretty much been a pro Aileen Wuornos.
No, not really. I
Not
mean,
really.
I'm understanding of what she went through. I mean, I'm not saying she should have been killing people,
Yeah.
but
I feel like I have this
See?
for women who are killers. I have like more empathy, I guess.
I have empathy for male serial killers too.
Yeah, like Ed Kemper. I had a little bit of sympathy for him.
I mean, just because I empathize with them doesn't mean I agree with what they've done.
Absolutely not. No one should ever kill anybody.
But I mean, there could have been preventive steps. Like if Aileen just had someone in her childhood
Not being raped by everyone in her family. I mean,
Yes.
that would have been a big
someone in
thing.
her childhood that would take her away from everything while she was still young, she might not have turned out this way.
Maybe, but obviously, and she did get a head injury, which has been a common cause of psychopathy.
That's not good.
No, most head injuries, just like when you get knocked out and everything.
You have to get knocked out
Yeah, it's
So,
brain damage.
every
basically what
time
it
you
is.
get knocked out.
No, it's
Do you
only
become more
certain
psychopathic?
people. No, it's only certain
Oh,
people.
oh.
It's like a switch.
That
That
what?
goes off.
How do you know?
Because this is okay. It's speculation that could be a cause
So,
of why John
okay.
Wayne Gacy had a head injury.
Okay, so
Henry Lee Lucas had a head injury.
Wow.
Aileen Wuornos had a head injury.
okay,
Jeffrey Dahmer, I believe, had a head injury.
okay. So if I get
it's
a
a
head
lot.
injury,
I don't know. I think you have to be born in the head injury. I don't know. It's weird. I
Well-
think it's
well, that
many
makes no
factors.
sense. That makes no sense though, because they're like, oh well, the head injury. So they're saying that the past had nothing to do with it.
No,
That
definitely the
it's
past.
just
does.
the
I
head
think it
injury
was
that
probably
flipped the switch and made
a
them murder people.
I think that was a contributing factor.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the
but
childhood
it
mixed
still
with the
sounds-
head injury
it
mixed
still-
in
no.
with the way she was born. It's
The
like,
way
it was like
you're
a perfect storm.
The way you're describing it is that it's a switch that flicks in the brain when you get knocked out. Like your brain.
If that was the case, there'd be
From-
a lot of UFC fighters and boxers who were just killing people.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not. I don't think that that's.
Maybe
It's
childhood.
coincidental.
I think it affects the child a lot more than it would an adult. If a child got knocked out, I think it would be a little bit more.
Children shouldn't be getting knocked out.
She felt like most of the time they just fall and get hurt or something.
Falling and get hurt is one thing.
Henry Lee Lucas was hit with a 2x4 by his mother.
That's different.
In the head and knocked him out for 3 days until her pimp took him to the hospital.
That's
pretty bad when your own mother doesn't want to take you to the hospital. Her pimp has to.
You're like children playing around. They get hurt sometimes, and you're like, he gets hit with a 2x4 by his mom. That's not children playing around.
Yeah. Well, he was playing around. He just wasn't playing right, I guess.
So shitty.
Yeah.
But right. I disagree with the headache thing. I think that's just a coincidence that they hit their heads.
Yeah.
It's definitely
nature and nurture put together. So what do you think Aileen was? Do you think it was nature or nurture?
Nurture.
Yeah. How she was raised and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, I don't know her as a baby or as a child or anything, but she'd had nothing but shit her entire life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it was the head injury though. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, head injuries suck, but I don't think they make you murderous. So, unless you're Chris Benoit.
Yeah, but that was also steroids too.
Do you know who that was? Okay, I didn't know if you knew who it was.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Anyways, so thank you guys for listening. It was, I guess, an honor having you on, Trey. Talking about Aileen Wuornos and the effect nowadays that we're still feeling from Aileen Wuornos with her many, many quotes about men and society and how they're scumbags.
Yes, pretty much.
And with Roe versus Wade being overturned by 90% of the Supreme Court being old white men. No, I think there's a black man on there. But anyways, old men. Just there's one woman, I think, now since Ginsburg died.
Yeah, I think so. You think you're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not that great of... they need more women on there is what I'm saying.
Well, you know what they say. No uterus, no opinion. But apparently that doesn't apply if you're in the Supreme Court. And using religion as a reason to, Yeah. They've been doing that for ages and ages and ages. They used Christianity until it doesn't benefit them anymore. So yeah, they forget the bad parts of Christianity as well.
Yeah, they do.
And they also misuse the Bible.
Yep. Again, we're not getting political, but like I said, Aileen, the reason we did Aileen Wuornos is because we kind of knew this vote was coming.
Well, we did know the vote was coming.
Yeah, we did know the vote was coming. Yeah, so we knew the vote was coming, and we just wanted to be like, hey, this is becoming popular again. And I was like, hey, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about Aileen Wuornos and tell her story and her victim stories more. I think we focus more on Aileen, but she's just, one of a kind, really.
I guess. I mean,
she's just a violent serial killer, which is, for a woman, that's one of a kind.
For a woman.
All right. I know. Sorry. All right. Thank you guys. Next week we'll be talking about something else. You'll have to tune in to find out. So just follow that description in the link below to get to all of our goodies. And thank you, Trey, for coming on.
You're welcome. Again.
Yeah. We'll be going. Thank you.